Fresh home-baked cookies are warm and cozy. If you're struggling to recreate them because you're vegan and gluten-free, then this video is for you. I'm going to show you how to make a buttery shortbread cookie that is both crispy on the outside and chewy on the inside. Also, delicious chocolate chip cookies without any dairy, gluten, or eggs. But with the recipe I'll show you, you won't be missing any of those.
15 years ago, I was in a recovery room after having an endoscopy. And the doctor walked in and he said to me, "Congratulations, you have celiac disease. Good luck with that sticks and twigs diet." And then he handed me a piece of paper that was one page and it said, how to eat gluten-free. You must avoid certain things with barley, rye, and wheat. And that was the extent of it. It talked a bit about sauces and some spices, but it basically gave no instruction as to how to cook, how to eat out, how to avoid cross-contamination in your kitchen at other people's homes and dining out. I mean, basically, if you're in this situation, you know what I'm talking about.
Shortly thereafter, because some symptoms weren't improving, I learned that many people who can't tolerate gluten or who have celiac disease also have difficulty with the proteins casein, which is in cow's milk, or rather dairy, and also the proteins found in soy. So I gave up dairy, but I did not give up soy since that didn't seem to bother me. Fast forward to a few years ago, in my continued quest to improve my health, I went vegan. I did it both for health reasons and also for ethical reasons. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to make two classic cookies. One is a shortbread, and the second is chocolate chip cookies. But I'm going to use them as a foundation to basically discuss with you some of the transition items that you'll need to consider if you're following a vegan and gluten-free diet. I'll discuss the flours and I'll go over the butters. In fact, I made a full video about vegan butters, and I not only show you how to make a vegan butter, but I also discuss some commercially available butters, and then I show you a recipe to make a dessert butter board. But I'll link that at the end of this video if you're interested in that.
I'm low on baking supplies, so I'm going to run down the street to my local Whole Foods to pick up some. Let's talk about vegan and gluten-free chocolate chips. Enjoy Life is a common and well-known brand for those seeking gluten-free and vegan chocolate chips. They have semi-sweet, minis, and larger size, and they also have a rice-based one that is similar to a milk chocolate chip. Also, there's Pasha chocolate and Lily Sweets, which has stevia, and Who Kitchen is free from refined sugars. And in the UK, there's Moo Free. But I'm on the quest for something called Goutard Chocolate Company's chocolate chips, particularly their one that is known to be free of 14 allergens and suitable for vegans. For the shortbread cookies, you need 1 cup of salted vegan butter, 3/4 cups of cane sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 tablespoon of arrowroot or cornstarch, 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose gluten-free flour. When you're converting a regular recipe to gluten-free, you want to make sure you have a 1-for-1 substitute gluten-free flour. That has something that contains xanthan gum, which replaces the lost gluten. I like King Arthur Measure for Measure in particular. As far as vegan butters go for this recipe, I want to use a high fat content vegan butter because that enables the cookie to hold its shape. If you watch my video on vegan butter, you'll get a sense for how different vegan butters perform when baking. Line 2 baking trays with parchment paper. To a medium-sized bowl, add 2 1/4 cups of the all-purpose gluten-free flour, To the flour, add 1 tablespoon of arrowroot or cornstarch and then whisk to combine. Allow the 1 cup of vegan butter to come to room temperature and then start mixing it in a stand mixer or with a hand mixer. And after it softens, start adding the 3/4 cups of cane sugar or granulated sugar. Increase the mixing speed and then mix for about 1 to 2, maybe 3 minutes so that it becomes light and fluffy. With the stand mixer off, add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and then turn the mixer back on and stir for a bit to incorporate the vanilla throughout. Then add the flour and the arrowroot starch mixture in 2 batches and stir to combine. Mix on a lower speed because you just want to gently combine the butter and sugar and the flour mixtures, and stop occasionally and scrape down the sides to make sure all of the flour is blended within the butter. Then remove the shortbread dough and form it into a ball and place it on plastic wrap and wrap it up and place it in the refrigerator. You want to keep the dough in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes so that it firms up a bit and cools. After the dough has chilled in the refrigerator, place it on a clean surface with a piece of parchment paper underneath, and then roll out the dough to about a 1/3 inch thickness. Then I used a 2-inch in diameter circular cookie cutter to cut out the cookies and then place them on the parchment-lined baking trays. I decided to top my cookies at this point with turbinado sugar just to give it a slight sweetness and also a bit of crunch. You could also decorate with colorful sugars, or after baking, you can put on an icing if you prefer. I then preheated my oven to 350 degrees, and in the meantime, I placed the cookies in the freezer to allow them to become chilled and firm. This will help prevent spreading during baking. I then bake the cookies in the oven for about 14 minutes. You want the edges of the cookies slightly brown and you want the centers baked. Allow the cookies to cool on the tray for about 5 minutes and then move them to a cooling rack. Allow them to cool there for about 10 minutes. Like traditional shortbread cookies, these cookies have a crispy exterior and a chewy interior. And despite the absence of dairy butter, these cookies have a buttery flavor due to the delicious vegan butter. To make the chocolate chip cookies, you're going to need 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, 1/3 cup of a dairy-free yogurt. This is going to replace eggs in this recipe. And you want a plain yogurt, not a flavored one. 1/2 cup of organic cane sugar, 2/3 cup of a light brown sugar, and 2/3 cup of salted vegan butter that's at room temperature. You want 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and then 2 1/4 cups of the all-purpose gluten-free flour. You also need 1 cup of dairy-free or vegan chocolate chips. As I said, I'm using the Goutard brand because it is free of about 14 allergens and is suitable for vegan baking. As with the shortbread cookies, you're going to line 2 baking trays with parchment paper. To a medium-sized bowl, add 2 1/4 cups all-purpose gluten-free flour. Then add 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt. If you're using regular salt, only use 1/4 teaspoon. Then whisk all of the dry ingredients together to combine. Then to a separate mixing bowl, add the room temperature vegan butter, as well as the light brown sugar and the cane sugar. Also add the dairy-free room temperature vegan yogurt, and as well as the vanilla extract. Mix these together using either a stand mixer or a hand mixer. After the wet ingredients are well combined, add the flour mixture and stir slowly to combine. Mix just long enough so that the flour is well incorporated into the wet mixture. At that point, add the vegan chocolate chips and then just stir on low to gently incorporate the chips throughout the dough. Then place the dough in the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes to chill. Heat your oven to 350 degrees. And then after the dough has chilled, take about 1.5 tablespoons of dough, roll them into balls, and place them on the baking trays. Then place the trays in the oven and bake the cookies for about 12 to 14 minutes until the edges are slightly crisp and the interiors are well baked, but they can remain slightly soft. Allow the cookies to cool in the trays for about 10 minutes and then move them to a baking rack to cool for another 10 minutes. The cookies will firm up a bit as they cool. These cookies should have a slightly crispy exterior along the edges and then a soft and chocolatey interior. Get your favorite vegan milk ready for some chocolate chip cookie dunking.
Let me know if you have a favorite recipe that you would like help in converting to a gluten-free and vegan recipe, and I'm happy to take on that challenge and make a video about that to assist you.
If you want to learn more about vegan butters, including how to make your own, check out this next video.